I'll be a few seconds.
Where's Manny?
Where's Manny? You don't need Manny. I'll go first and I'll be out.
Fire correct. Where's Manny?
Oh, I know.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Rick, I'll be quick.
14, is it more than 14?
No.
You go.
Promise.
I'll try to do the same.
Well, you are live, so you probably don't.
I can go.
Could be a fight at the door.
Hi, Bill.
Hello.
All right.
Chief, I think I got the answer. When I called you the other day, I just spoke with Charlie. He kind of gave me the information that I need. So, and I'll relay it to Joe. It's in regards to that matter I spoke to you today. The registration.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost 7, so we'll just wait till 7 and then we'll do the pledge. And then we'll get things started.
I see a big bit.
Megan, why don't you take my chair?
No, really, I'm fine. Phyllis is going to be quick.
I will, I promise.
Okay,
No sleep for Brooklyn.
would everyone please stand for the pledge?
Sorry, my confusion.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yes, first we open up. Welcome everyone to the January 13th work session of the Village Board of Trustees. Before we begin, I would just like to have a moment of silence for Rudy Hahn. For those who don't know him, Rudy's family's been in Cornwall and Hudson for I think since, if I'm not mistaken, the late 1600s, early 1700s, according to Kurt. So the family's been here for generations. Rudy, in speaking, reading the obituary and speaking to his children, Rudy was a very accomplished individual. Went to Cornwall High here. He married his sweetheart from Cornwall High, Mary Jane, or also known as Chickie. Rudy went to Notre Dame. When I found out, he also boxed. He was on the boxing team when he was at Notre Dame. He was a scientist at Avon down in Suffern.
Yep.
And he was also a research scientist at Bristol Myers Squibb. Kurt and Joel told me that, actually Kurt told me that his father had over a dozen patents when he worked for Avon. I only knew Rudy a little bit from interactions when I was running for the board and meeting him. But two things that stand out too is that he was on the board for 24 years. He was a village trustee for 24 years, and he served as deputy mayor for at least 8. And he was the village fire commissioner for 24 years. And he's got 5 children, several grandchildren. All I can tell you is that in speaking to Mark Edsel, who was a former trustee who was on the board for 20 years, I thought Mark had the longest tenure, but it was definitely Rudy. But the bottom line is, anyone who knew him, Rudy was a great guy. He was a gentleman. He had a warm smile, and he was quick-witted. Dave, if you wanted to add anything, because I know you knew him.
I knew him well. I just think it's amazing that I attended Colette Fulton's 80th birthday party at the ancient Hibernians, and at that party there were 4 from the class of 1954 there. So it was pretty neat, and Colette's one of those. And the other one is Jane Costabel, who's still around, who was at the wake. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. And they had the picture of the class of 54 from COH on there.
So on behalf of, and if anyone else on to anything about Rudy? Okay. So on behalf of the village board and the residents of the village, the condolences to the Hahn family and their relatives. He will be sorely missed, and we thank him for his dedication to the village. And he truly was, him and his wife were truly the fabric of this community, and they will be sorely missed. So if we could just take a moment of silence, maybe say a prayer for Rudy and his family. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, we're going to take a few things out of order here. First up, we have Phyllis Murphy. Phyllis.
Hello, how are you?
So,
I am here to talk about the two weddings that.
excuse me, before you
Yes.
say that,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. Did I make my motion to open up today's work session? Can I get a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Phyllis, sorry.
so two weddings that are hopefully going to happen in 2025. One is in November, and then we have a new one, just to point out his daughter, son wants to get married, very small, low key. We had said previously, when I joined the committee, that, you know, 2 weddings a year to start would be good. This is a start. We've had one. It went extremely successfully. I have a hand in it when I say that as the events person for Donahue Farm, is that I go and make sure that everybody's following exactly what has been mapped out and what is supposed to happen. I go in the morning. That doesn't mean I'm hanging out at the wedding. That's not what I'm saying. I go in the morning to help. I go in the afternoon to make sure things are okay. And then I go at night to make sure the cleanup is happening the way it should. Throughout the time that we organize the weddings with the people and the couples, I meet with them. I write notes. They tell me things that they think that they need, or if they need insurance. It happens by the book. So you should feel confident, because I will always be honest. I will always tell you what's happening, but I promise you that I don't see, unless anybody has a concern, anything that would stop them. The amount of people is within what we've said, especially the second wedding, maybe 40 people. This one's about 130, 135. Parking doesn't seem to be an issue, because I tell them that they need to have some type, and you know this, of valet parking, meaning a friend, a neighbor. I can get somebody to direct where the traffic would go.
Right.
And there is very rarely traffic, but everybody needs direction. Everybody needs to know what's happening. And that's what I try to provide. And that's what I tell them.
So Phyllis, the first, Dan, your son's in August, or, no,
June. So
And then the second one is in
November 10th, 3rd. I don't have my notes
Okay.
because no, they're packed somewhere. I don't know.
Okay. Any questions of the board?
Just the fee structure, we talked about, we had the trial, the pilot rate that we charged the first wedding, and I think we did a little very quick straw poll of our board, I think, which was basically nods and grunts around the table last meeting, that we might consider in future a tiered village price, for village residents and non-village price. But I think we've agreed on a fee of around $500, right? Is that? I mean, that's what we had done with the first one, right?
Oh, the fee for
Just the baseline fee for using the space for the wedding, as opposed to the expenses that might arise beyond that.
Oh, I was under the impression it was more than that. I read a piece of paper.
I thought it was more than that. I have to go
It's-
pull the fee schedule.
No, I
Yeah,
know.
oh,
I
it's
don't-
in there, Bill.
No, it's two.
For weddings
Oh,
specifically?
I
or
know,
fee
I
structure?
know.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you.
Yeah,
what it
I
is.
don't
I
remember
like
the.
the higher fee.
I don't remember the
I
fee.
remember
But I don't want to say anything if you say it's fine.
No, no.
Okay.
So I think,
It's in there,
I know.
Well,
because I think for that pilot,
It's in the
would be
schedule.
just-
subject to the,
It's in the schedule.
subject to the fee, either the ongoing fee or to be determined by the board.
Okay.
we'll take a look. But I don't have an issue with it. I think it's great, as we did say in the beginning, no more than 2 and.
Right.
Okay. Any questions of the board?
And as
Think
far
it's
as,
great.
Yeah.
Deke always helps me.
Yep.
And even though we recommend no smoking, we always put an area with buckets, sand, water,
Yeah.
just in case, because people
Okay.
sometimes, I'm just saying, full disclosure, I haven't had a problem. I don't intend on having a problem. There's no open fires, nothing like
Great.
that. Okay? Anybody that has a food truck has to be licensed. You will get insurance.
What do we do? One
Bill,
question.
you actually
What do
have
we
the
do
physical
with
applications.
a rain date?
Yeah, it's
Do they
in there.
usually
Oh,
have a rain
I
date?
didn't see
This
it.
one.
So,
You
you
know,
know
The other
what?
one we got last.
I don't recommend a rain date
Okay.
in organizing and
Oh,
planning
yeah.
something like that. I
Yeah,
don't.
Yes, okay.
So if you want to
No,
get
I'm not, I
married,
don't wanna open up a can
It
of worms,
rains.
no. I know everybody has a
there's
wedding,
so
you don't
many
really get a
things you
rain
have to
date. You
research.
just get
Yeah.
the tent.
Yeah.
We're in the tent. There you go, you get the
You
tent.
can't, you'd have to
That's-
schedule
that's
DJ.
what you do.
Very,
Can't do
very
that.
good.
Yeah, I don't recommend.
Okay.
That is,
Sound-
enjoy.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And, anybody that ever has questions, the whole entire village has my cell phone, so
I
feel free to
don't,
call me.
I don't think you need a resolution to, unless council thinks we need to have a resolution to allow a second wedding, even though.
I think we passed for
I
most
thought we
special
said that
events.
too.
For the business meeting.
Okay,
It was
all
just
right.
other
Okay,
business
so it's
meeting.
information now. Okay, good.
Okay,
Excellent.
And then
Thank you.
the
You're
counselor
welcome.
hasn't said out loud, but he wants to make sure that we say out loud, I think.
Yeah, as part of the
The ins-
resolution, if they'll be serving alcohol, you grant them an exemption from prohibition on serving alcohol.
Okay,
So
so
we
we
have
have
a
a
couple
When you,
things.
when you get to it.
Yeah,
And then
Okay.
the code enforcement officer would have to inspect the tent, any temporary structure in advance. You know,
we
he
can
would
do
like
all
to say that.
sorts. We can do that at the January 27th meeting.
it's happened before.
Yes, yeah, so,
Alright.
yeah, preliminarily, good to go. Good to go.
The happy couple.
Okay, yeah.
I have a picture of it.
There you go.
Oh.
All right, look at that. Spirit.
That's great.
Very good, very good. Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Phyllis.
You're
All right, we'll,
Thanks, Phil.
thank you, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Going home and unpack?
Dan,
Going
you
to
could
unpack.
give the Donahue, either of you could give the Donahue policy report too. Okay, well, all right.
all right, next up, out of order, is Rick Joy is here, and Rick is here to talk to us about the LED lighting, Rick? Was that it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll try to also be brief. My wife and I went away after Christmas and came back after New Year's to find that there was a street light that hadn't been doing this before, but it was extremely bright and was punching directly into our home. We came home on a late Sunday night, and it was really sort of like having a Klieg light pointing directly into our house. So anyway, the next morning, I called Jimmy and arranged to have a meeting with him just to discuss that and then the larger issue of light control coming from the streetlights. He was going to take it up with a few of you, and in the meantime, I just decided to see what I could do on my end. I attended a CAC meeting the following night to just do some fact finding on where they were with their taking over of their municipal lighting system. And I was left thinking that we should probably, as a village, be making a more concerted effort to pick up on this idea, because I think the town has now fully implemented the new lighting program. And I spoke with Josh today. I spent quite a bit of time with him today, and he gave me a breakdown of the company that they contracted with, Real Term, which I think had been done initially under Dick Randazzo and Virginia. Scott had been involved, and obviously Carla and Ted from CAC were doing a lot of heavy lifting on that and the background and seeing the kinds of instruments that were available, et cetera. So the bottom line is this makes sense economically and for the welfare of the village. And I would hope, you may already have this, so forgive me if you do already, but I think it's a good thumbnail of what has been done and the cost savings, and the break-even point for the initial expense is just a little over 4 years. And then we have autonomy over our lights.
So Rick, one of the things though is, this is not just the bulbs, you're talking about the arm.
Basically, the town has control over the arm, the cobra head, and the bulb.
Who does the replacement of the arm?
So,
Who takes care of all that?
so because the contracts had already been signed with Real Term under Dick Randazzo, Josh was obligated to continue with that contract. He did feel that, in retrospect, if that contract didn't exist, he might have tried to negotiate with NIPA, since NIPA, which I'm sure you're aware, has a program where they incorporate, first of all, the vetting process, the no bid contracts, they do all of that business. And then they also, if they still do, have a maintenance program. So in the town, since they contracted with Real Term, they needed to sub out the maintenance half to Albright Electric.
Yes.
They did want to go with a local electrician like RPC. RPC, but Ray was a little reluctant to meet the criteria of a 24/7, like ability to address issues in the event of a storm, etc. Albright, apparently a larger company, but not as local, didn't seem to mind that.
They're based out of Rock on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So they ended up with the contract. I think RPC subsequently wished they had bid on it, but it had already passed. So if it, I'm sorry, I want to just continue.
And I know Bill's already looking into this, and I know 2 years ago with the NIPA program, they didn't have that maintenance.
The component?
That component, I think that's now changed recently. So that's
Okay.
probably why they couldn't do it back then, but now they have this new component to it. I don't know the cost or anything about it, but Bill's looking into that.
Oh, good.
NIPA asked to convene a call along with Senator Scoofus's office. Senator Scoofus has grant money available to do a portion of the work related to this. It's not the install cost or anything.
Okay.
But he's got money available, and NIPA did a pitch to talk about their program, which includes the maintenance that you're talking about.
Okay.
They would like to have a collective contract from multiple municipalities at the same time. Monroe is looking into it, and a couple of others were on the line at the same time. After that, I met Real Term because I was talking to them about EV charger installation. We went with somebody else, but the guy who had been at Real Term is now with somebody else, and he reached out to me to say, "Hey, I heard you might be looking at streetlights. We do that." So there's multiple players out there that we might look to, except that NIPA has the ability to do the contract without
all in one.
having to do it.
And the other thing that Josh had a bit of a complaint about was that, being that Real Term is a Canadian company, he, during the process, he just said that there was a lot of changeover.
The guy stopped responding to me about the EV chargers, and he had gone to another company.
And so maybe that's a factor, just in terms of, having a reliable partner. That's basically, you can call them, it's going to be the same person there next week and next month. Anyway, that was just an anecdote from his experience. The other nice thing about us purchasing is that we can then lock in our rate for electricity. Whereas if we're renting our electricity from the utility, then we can't lock in a rate, as I'm sure you know. So over time, Josh says they've appreciated a significant savings just by being able to lock in at I think 0.89 cents per kilowatt hour. I mean, it's a really good rate over a multi-year contract. So the other thing that the town did, which was a relatively modest additional expense, was to install smart nodes on each head. So they basically bought, I think he said the final price to buy from Central Hudson, the existing heads, and whether they be sodium vapor or already converted LEDs, was 220K. Originally, this number shows a higher number, like 260, but can't remember exactly why, but Josh said in the end, in the final accounting, it came in lower, like 220. And then they purchased for like another 100K, the additional fixtures to replace the sodium vapors. And so basically they've replaced every head that wasn't LED. So the town is fully LED, a Cobra head installed. And then the part that I would need to get more information on is now you've got the head and then you put in the bulb. You put in the LED fixture and bulb. And I would want to know if within that framework, if there are choices to be made in terms of either color temperature, beam spread, in terms of, encroachment on properties, et cetera. So that would all be maybe something to determine after, but from an economic standpoint, it seems to make a lot of sense. And I feel like it's something that we should really pursue and go forward with.
Bill's already.
Yeah, we're looking into it
Yeah.
from one angle at this point, yeah.
Okay.
There's more detail, but I don't have a full picture yet, so I haven't been making any reports or anything. I had one call.
Okay.
So the way it works now, though, is you get one replaced every time.
If it burns
the light
out,
goes
Central Hudson
So you
comes
really
and replaces
need to know what percentage of lights have.
Yeah, you
been
need a new
replaced.
inventory. We did it, I think, in 2020 or
Like,
something like that.
they have
right before I
100,
was on the board.
probably have 150 more streetlights than we do in the town.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I want to say
200 more.
I think there's a total
I
of
think this says-
278 in the village.
Total quantity of fixtures is 511.
Just about twice what we have.
So were you indicating that NIPA was, they're waiting for more municipalities in the immediate area to jump on?
Well, there were
to
just
do it?
4 of us on the call for
Okay.
municipalities, and they were hopeful that they could get a bulk contract from
Got it.
multiple. A point of confusion for me that I have to get clarified is that Monroe is served by O&R and we're served by Central Hudson, and so
right,
is that complicated? When I asked that question, everybody said, not really. That seems like unlikely.
All right, so,
But then in terms of accountability and getting on the phone and calling someone if there's an issue, is NIPA going to be?
NIPA does have the
they have a third-party
maintenance
contract.
project, the program.
So that's
You have to
sourced-
purchase the more expensive units in order to be on that maintenance program, because those cellular smart node things
Mhm.
are sensors that can tell them if a light is out. So it
Mhm.
reduces costs for them to go out and respond, because they don't have to wait till it's out and then decide to come and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And they also, they do allow control over the lights, dimmable. You can time them to be dimmer in the middle of the night, for instance, or, things like that. I don't know if it will solve the problem of the light that's shining in your house. That's
Well, that's been
probably a
dealt with.
replace.
So I'll finish that story, which was that after attending the CAC meeting, I just decided to, get on the phone and call Central Hudson, because I had called them years ago about light trespass from another light, because we have 3 different lights around our property, being that it's at an intersection there. And they never really responded. It kind of just went, they said they were very nice on the phone and straight into the dead letter box. So that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth that I couldn't really deal with them, but I just thought, okay, I'll try and I'll call again. Spoke with a person there who actually dispatched a line truck, and they went up, and since I was home, and I think this made all the difference, they had recently replaced that light, which was, when they replaced it, they didn't actually take the time to make sure that the head was level. And that gets us into the next issue, which is, over the years driving around the village, there are a few, like I can think of, there's 1 or 2 on Mountain Road that are really like glary, like in your face. And we've always just kind of don't look directly. But in fact, it's probably as simple as taking a little extra time and making sure that each one of those heads is truly flat, truly level, and is casting the beam where it was designed to go. Because I think what happens, these are installed during the day, and I'm not so sure how much care they take. I mean, they came back, they installed this new light while we were away, and someone complained, and they came, and I was home, and I went out and I addressed it, and I gave them the whole background, and they fixed it. And I watched him. It was a drastic adjustment from where it had been. He articulated the arm, and he turned the head in, and lo and behold, I could see even in broad daylight that it wasn't going to be an issue. So I would say that that is maybe something in the here and now that maybe we could address with Central Hudson. It's like, hey, maybe you could look at some of the more egregious examples of lights that are just totally out of whack, at least until we get control of it ourselves. Would you mind going around and just fixing the most egregious examples of?
I think that's gonna take, Rick, similar to what I've been doing on the wires with Spectrum and Verizon, that is having someone.
Oh, the zombie lines.
Yes, having someone come out, and maybe we can grab someone from the board who can go out and start looking at some of the lights.
If you can
I am hereby volunteering.
If you want to give them phone numbers, they'll do it.
So if you collect them, send them to me.
It's hard though, because they
whatever.
don't
I'll
have
take it.
that many people working.
Well,
at
I mean,
night.
Dave also works
That's
for
the problem.
Central
Yeah.
Hudson,
That's
so
the
if
problem.
Dave's
got
been
him.
my go-to. I give him the
you
numbers
got
when
him,
there's one out.
Rick, and if
I missed that.
I
By
mean,
the
I'm
time I was-
sort of shocked that they came, and I was home, and I don't think they didn't really want to particularly deal with me, but I was being nice, and I explained the problem, and they fixed it.
Yeah, and I think too, once you have a list of like 10 or whatever it might be, then it's easy for them to come out in one shot of doing it. So, I mean, I know you work for them. I don't know if you still have connections there, but maybe you come up with your first list of 10 or whatever,
Sure.
Rick. That we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you for this. And Bill's already been on it.
So I assumed
we'll keep you updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure where we were in the process, but I just think it's a no-brainer in terms of the cost savings and the autonomy that we would have, the control that we would have over our own lights.
I think I kind of remember this several years ago. We kind of looked into it lightly. I think this was before you, Bill, or maybe when you first came on.
Well, I have
We
an
looked
inventory
into
in the pages that the mayor gave me, to look, last month he asked me if I would look into it.
Yeah.
And there was like an inventory in there. It just had a baseline number of lights and then the predicted cost savings based on.
Yeah, I think
Carla did that.
our biggest problem back then, we kind of looked into it, was the maintenance aspect of it. And who would you get to do that? It was costly. But look, we're on it now, so that's good.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
you very much for
Thank you.
coming.
I
and
appreciate
giving this
it.
up to us.
Good
All right,
luck, all.
we'll be in touch. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Rick. Okay. All right, so next up is we have a couple of public hearings for the public at the December 16th. Okay, going back up, last year at the end of the year, the board voted that we would like to extend the terms of, not the mayor, but the trustee terms from 2 years to 4 years. And we began that process back in November. And but after starting the process, we had the public hearing in regards to it. We adopted the local law. That was late November into December. And then while that was going on, our counselor, Joe McKay, was in touch with NICOM. NICOM suggested that we should do it a different way in regards to passing this measure, this law, amending the law. In an abundance of caution, despite the fact that council had robust conversations with NICOM in regards to the differences of the way he looked at it, how he interpreted and how they interpreted. Out of abundance of caution, we are going forward with a combination of the two, so to speak. So,
And this works because it addresses both NICOM's concerns and it also gets us where we need to be. So it's a good middle ground for the village, and we should take the opportunity.
Right, so the first hearing is going to be in regards to, in regards to rescinding the local law that we had passed in November of last year. And then the second public hearing is in regards to adopting local law 1 of this year with respect to the same. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to open the public hearing on local law number 1 of 2025 to rescind local law. Yes.
Local law 4 of 2024. Right? Or am I crazy? I'm sorry. Local
No.
law- Oh, yep,
No.
sorry.
That's right.
My apologies.
To rescind local law number 5 of 2024, adopted on November 18th of 2024, extending the length of the village trustees and amending chapter 15 of the village code by adding article I, section II, governing terms of elected officials. May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public here that would wish to speak to or make a comment about this local law? Seeing none, I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was simple. All right, now going to public hearing number 2 here. I'm going to make a motion to open a public hearing on the local law entitled Extending the Term Length of Village Trustees and amending Chapter 15 of the Village Code, adding Article 3 governing terms of elected officials. May I have a second,
Second.
please? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment, any questions on the proposed local law? Okay. Seeing none and hearing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. May I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So now let's move on to the respective resolutions. So I'm going to make the following motion for resolution. Hold on 1 second. Let me go to, where I have my notes on there. Okay. Hold on. Are we going off of your thing? No. Okay. The resolution of the village board of the village of Cornwall and Hudson adopting local law number 1 to rescind local law number 5 of 2024. Okay. Whereas a resolution, I'm going to make the following motion, for its adoption. Okay, the village board of the village of Cornwall and Hudson on December 16, 2024, scheduled a public hearing to be held by said governing body on January 13th, today, at 7 p.m. at the village of Cornwall and Hudson Village Hall to hear all interested parties on proposed local law to rescind local law number 5 of 2024, entitled A Local Law Extending the Term Length of Village Trustees and amending Chapter 15 of the Village Code, adding Article 3 governing terms of elected officials. And whereas the notice of said public hearing was duly advertised in the official newspaper of said village according to law, and whereas the said public hearing was held on January 13th, 2025 at Village Hall, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak on behalf of or in opposition to said proposed local law, and whereas pursuant to Part 617 of the implementing regulations of Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, the adoption of said proposed local law is an unlisted action under SECRA, and whereas the Village Board of Cornwall and Hudson, after due deliberation, finds it's the best interest of the said village to adopt said local law. Now, therefore be it resolved, the Village Board finds that the proposed local law is classified as an unlisted action under SECRA. It has no significant adverse environmental impacts and issues a negative declaration thereon, that the adoption of the proposed local law is in the best interest of the residents of the village, and hereby adopts said local law number 1 of 2025, entitled rescission of local law number 5 of 2024, adopted November 18th, 2024, extending the term lengths of Village Trustees and amending Chapter 15 of the Village Code, adding Article 3 governing terms of elected officials, and hereby directs that the village clerk enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and the local law book of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, and give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State. May I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Do one more of these. Okay. I'll make a motion and seek its adoption. The village board of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson on December 16, 2024 designated itself as a lead agency pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and scheduling a public hearing to be held by said governing body on today, January 13, 2025 at 7:02 p.m. at the Village of Cornwall and Hudson Village Hall to hear all interested persons on a proposed local law to modify the terms of the offices of trustees from 2 years to 4 years, and to amend the Village Code Chapter 15 to add Article 3, Roman numeral 3, entitled Term Lengths for Elected Officers. And whereas such local law will be subject to a mandatory referendum pursuant to Municipal Home Room Law 20, Section 23, and Village Law Section 9-900, and whereas the notice of said public hearing was duly advertised in the official newspaper of said village according to the law, and whereas said public hearing was held on January 13, 2025 at the Village Hall, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak on behalf of or in opposition to the proposed local law, whereas the Village Board of Cornwall and Hudson, after due deliberation, finds it's in the best interest of said village to adopt said local law subject to the mandatory referendum to be held on March 18, 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the village board finds that the proposed local law is classified as an unlisted action under SECRA. It has no significant adverse environmental impacts and issues a negative declaration thereon, that the adoption of the proposed local law is in the best interest of the residents of the village, and hereby adopts said local law number 2 of 2025, a local law extending the term of lengths of village trustees and amending Chapter 15 of the Village Code, adding Article Roman number 3, governing terms of elected officials. And in the event the referendum passes, the village clerk is hereby directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the local law book of the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State of New York within 20 days of its adoption as required per Section 27 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion?
Just pointing out that this law sort of replicates what we did back in November, which is the board feels that we should offer the citizens, the residents, an opportunity to vote on whether or not trustee terms should be extended to 4 years from 2 years. It will not affect, it'll be on the ballot in March if we pass it in the next few seconds. And it will not affect the terms of the people who are elected in March.
Or the
And
mayor.
while it was a permissive referendum, the board decided we would make it a mandatory referendum. That's why the reference is therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right, 2 down. All right. So the next one up we have is not this off, that one. Okay, the Chevy Tahoe. Dave, all right, hold on, Dave. No, we're not doing. We'll get back to that one. Yeah, that's 2. Here we go. No, number 3 we're gonna do is, the settlement. Okay. So let me do this. So let me just take a look at this for a second. Okay. So for the public, back in we had 2 hyper localized storms, one back in December 23rd of 2022 and one on July 9th of 2023. 2 residents up on Mountain Road sued the village with respect to damage that was that occurred pursuant to those storms. After the claim, they filed the proper notice of claim on time. That was sent to our insurance carrier, counsel for our insurance carrier, Stephen Lee, and the company entered into discovery, settlement negotiations, and pursuant to that, today, prior to today's meeting, an executive session, an attorney-client session, the village board had an opportunity to speak to counsel Stephen Lee, who represents our insurance carrier. And in regards to a settlement agreement, it's actually a settlement agreement / release. After the board was satisfied with the answers to the questions and the proposed settlement and the terms of the settlement and the stipulation that the suit would be terminated, as well as other provisions as part of the agreement. Joe, can I get into the actual particulars in regards to the?
Well, the resolution that I drafted gives a little bit of the history,
Okay.
but doesn't go into the details of the damages, the alleged damages. So it's up to you.
Okay, then I'll just read off the resolution that was prepared by our council. So, resolution of the village board of the village of Cornwall and Hudson authorizing settlement of an action commenced by William M. Fury and Christine M. Rupert. Make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas an action was commenced against the village of Cornwall and Hudson on December 23rd, 2023, entitled William M. Fury et al. Versus the village of Cornwall and Hudson. Whereas the village was represented in the action by Stephen Lee of the law firm of Goldberg Segala LLP, and whereas the village of Cornwall and Hudson interposed an answer to the complaint denying the substance of the claims against it, and whereas the parties have reached an agreement to settle the action, now therefore be it resolved that the village board of Cornwall and Hudson hereby authorizes Mayor James Galliano and/or Deputy Mayor James Kane to execute such documents as may be necessary to effectuate the settlement of the action. May I get a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Any comment? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that's going down. Okay, that's that one. Next one up is the Chevy Tahoe, right? Dave, let's see. Okay, Dave. So, Dave, our superintendent of DPW, Dave, has requested that, last time at our last meeting, you told us about, the repairs that were necessary repairs to your Chevy Tahoe. They were getting quite expensive. If you want to, it's more color to it.
It's time to replace it. It's a 2017. We've had it for about 8 years now. 80,000 miles. We've had several of the Tahoes all came in around the same time. This pretty much is, I think, well, Manny's still driving one, but they're all been replaced. Time to replace it, get a warranty on the vehicle so we don't have to put any expensive repairs. And now's the time to get rid of it while it's still holding value.
Right, and I think you indicated your estimate in regards to the resale value or the
Kelly
auction
Blue
value.
Book value on the car right now is about 20 to 21,000. Okay. That would be the private party sale for that vehicle because it's not a special service package. It's a LS package.
Okay,
Which is the homeowner model.
and we'll use that money for the
We'll offset that money to
purchase
the new vehicle. The new vehicle will be, we did a 3-day mini bid through the OGS office, which is basically state bid. And there's one on the lot sitting up in Depew, New York now. The price came in at $52,865.97. Okay. And that would be the special service package, which is the same that the fire department and I think actually Tommy for the town just got one as well. Very similar.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dave. All right, I'm going to make the following motion and move for its adoption. The Village of Cornwall and Hudson requires a replacement vehicle for the DPW superintendent.
It's 2024.
Superintendent, the village board authorizes Mayor James Galliano or Deputy Mayor James Kane to sign the purchase agreement with Joe Basile Chevrolet, Inc. in the amount of $52,865.97 for a 2024 Chevy Tahoe CK 10706. It was noted that the purchase of the vehicle was completed through the New York State Office of Government Services in compliance with the village's bidding obligations. May I have a second, please? Any further discussion? All, yes.
Gave her the very specific number, the 52,800.
That's the quote.
So that's it. Does it
That's
have to be
the-
$5 more?
No,
or-
that's supposed to be their delivery.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You get me one for that?
Yeah, really.
I'll sign tomorrow.
Okay, that's 4 now. 5. Moving on to 5. Okay. All right, this is authorizing the purchase of the speed sign and the AED. All right, Chief, just give a little background and then we can do the resolution so everyone remembers.
Sure. I applied for a grant, Eddie Byrne grant, back, I believe in either October or November, for one, traffic speed sign as well as one automatic external defibrillator. The total grant request was $5,009. Subsequently awarded the grant award, and as part of the requirements to New York State, you have to first purchase the items and then you get reimbursed after you produce all the applicable paperwork.
First, thank you very, very much for putting in for that grant. You've done this a few times, right? This burn grant, and we've been pretty successful.
Correct.
Great. Well, thank you for that and continue to do that. So I am going to make a motion and move for its adoption. So the Cornwall and Hudson Police Department is granted approval to surplus municipal auction one cardiac science power heart AED G3 automatic external defibrillator, serial number 4497936, and the Cornwall and Hudson Police Department is authorized to purchase an AED, an automatic external defibrillator, and a radar/speed sign. Such purchases being reimbursed via the what's it called? The
Eddie Byrne
Grad JAG grant. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just does the grant exactly matches the cost of the two items? Or is there, yeah.
Yeah, when I
okay.
submitted the grant, I had to get quotes from both of the companies.
Yes, and I'll amend it to the cost being $5,009. Okay. I already got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Nice bill for that. Moving along. Okay, the GIS. All right. All right, Dave. The GIS.
Mike.
That's Mike. All right, Mike.
Mike's turn.
Your turn. You're up on the hot seat, Mike. So tell us a little bit about the GIS and then we'll move to adopt that.
Sure, with the water system, we're looking to update all our mapping and our asset inventory using the GIS system. Currently, the mapping they're mapped using measurements from telephone poles, trees that are no longer there. So using the GPS coordinates and GIS equipment, it's a much more accurate mapping of the water valves, fire hydrants, any other assets that we may have. And that's what we're looking to get into the 21st century.
All right, and the cost is only going to be about a little bit over $2,900.
It's an annual subscription, so from this point forward, we're gonna have to.
Okay. So, any questions about it?
I think you had mentioned that it's an initial purchase of the equipment and then there's the software subscription, right?
Well, that's what we already purchased the equipment
Right, okay,
after
we
last
authorized
month's
that.
meeting.
Yeah.
Now this, we have the equipment on hand. Now we have to get the software and work with IT, training and get up and running.
All right. All right, I'm gonna make the following motion and move for its adoption. The Village of Cornwall and Hudson requires a contract for GIS online software services. The village board authorizes Mayor James Galliano or Deputy Mayor James Kane to sign a contract agreement with Environmental Systems Research Institute, Inc. in the annual amount of $2,907.64. It was noted that the contract was completed through the New York State Office of Government Services in compliance with the village bidding obligations. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion?
As always.
Go ahead.
I just see the quote here includes sales tax, but we're tax exempt on that, right? So we'll get.
Yeah, if you look on the agreement there on the third page, there's a checkbox there. If you're tax exempt, to check that off and send in your tax exempt certificate and they'll remove it.
So in the field, Mike, will that be laptop based?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. All right. The sewer thing, we're gonna leave that till.
What's that?
The
So just
We'll leave-
for discussion.
yeah, so Dave, I open it up to you in regards to,
Sewer capital.
yes,
Sewer capital, we've been going through trying to straighten out a lot of the building issues with the sewer and garbage water and all that good stuff. So one of the things that we ran across is the sewer capital for commercial and multifamilies are billed differently than individual families. What we want to do is we want to change the billing date. The billing date, I believe, is currently August or October, August. And by time we send out the bill in August and the late notices go out and whatnot, we've already passed the re-levy date to add it to somebody's taxes. So it's just a vicious cycle keeps rolling around. We want to move the billing date to March's billing cycle with the water bills, so that those bills would then be passed due long before, if they don't pay them, the re-levy time comes up, so the village could then recoup their
very good.
unpaid funds. So
And I
that's
know-
all we're looking to do. We'll put a proposal together for.
And I know council is gonna look at that in regards to the
I've
code.
spoke with Joe, we've looked at the code, and there's gonna be some tweaks that we have to do, but
Right.
it can be done, I think, relatively easy.
All right,
And in a timely manner to get it done, so we can do it this March,
okay. Thank you, Dave.
hopefully.
All right, we have one more resolution, and that is the polling time and place. So, obviously, the election is March 18th. Bill and Dave are running again for trustee, and I'm running for mayor. So we have to set the polling date and time. So I'll make the following motion and move for its adoption. Notice is hereby given that the voting for the annual election will take place in the Edward C. Moulton Jr. Boardroom for the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, 325 Hudson Street, Cornwall and Hudson, New York, on the 18th day of March 2025, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, now, we got all that settled. Moving on to the monthly department reports. Oh, well, but no, it wasn't a special meeting, it was a regular work session, so we don't need to. Yeah, we closed the two public hearings. Yeah, so no, she was just saying, do we need to close a special hearing, but I didn't open up a special hearing. We just thought that as a work session, yeah. Yeah, we're good. But thank you, Doris. Okay, treasurer, take a look at the treasurer's report. And we will have an opportunity to speak to Megan when we get to, well, actually, we should do that let's see. Oh, no, we got that in other business, the revised proposed budget. So take a look at this, if there are any questions. Let's see. Total receipts.
I got a question.
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
Non-class money
Yes,
goes into the general fund.
yes, because we don't have all our money in the night class, correct? Again, only some of it. I think we put
I
like
think we did
150,000.
We did a third of, outstanding fund balance.
Yeah,
Yeah, so year to date, you essentially did almost $40,000.
pretty good.
Is it
Yeah.
the interest that's going into the general fund?
It's,
What-
Just the interest, right?
it's the interest, yeah, what we're coming off with.
Yeah. Off the top of your head, I don't know if you know this, Megan, but in regards to the parking pass revenue, are we up on that? You happen to know?
No, we've slowly decreased since COVID.
Okay.
COVID, you know,
I
set
know, we were-
a high standard
Yeah,
and we've slowly.
okay, all right.
Does that include the revenue from the day pass, the app purchases
No,
that are
this
doing?
is strictly skippers.
So
Oh,
we instituted
Trailer
that
and-
after the fact.
Yes.
yeah.
This does not include Park Mobile.
Do we have a separate line on our budget for Park Mobile? Or is it all
No, it's
combined
just
into one?
general. Yeah, no, that's just all general.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
and this, like I said, this does not include Park Mobile. This is strictly trailer and park.
Yeah,
But that might maybe make up the difference. We're
Right.
not seeing in parking
Oh.
passes, is it? No,
Maybe,
I
yeah, I
don't-
would have to look at that. And during COVID, we were,
yeah, there was
We are
there was,
not gonna
be-
we were getting crushed, that's
We
why
don't
we
get
did
any-
raise, that's why we
don't
raised
get
the
any
fee.
Profit.
$20 per day or
We must
whatever.
get
You know what,
something.
we don't need it now, when you get a chance, if you can
No,
tell
they're
us
not
what the
taking all of it.
combined,
Park Mobile.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if you can figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only so we can
What's
compare
the
it to previous
percentage
years.
Park Mobile takes?
Oh, it wasn't that bad, the percentage that they take. I'd have to look back at their
Yeah,
contract.
not really sure.
Either case, we're still,
I know,
we're
I
still
know.
making money.
You have to have
so.
it, you have to have it.
You knew, for
Well,
the
we're-
park, when I say making money,
We're recouping expenses.
Costs a lot to own it, maintain it, that's what I was saying, we're not making money,
Yes,
we're
it does.
using the money to maintain
We
the
know.
park.
Be here every month.
Okay,
Tahoe.
any additional questions for Megan? Seeing none, okay. Now let's move on to the building department. Manny, how you doing, Manny? All right, anything of note here, Manny?
As far as the inspections and permits, it's all good the way it is there.
Okay. And the violation, that's in regards to
That's,
Deer Hill?
but it's more than, how many does it say there?
One.
One, yes, you go right for that one.
Okay. And I'll get offline with you in regards to the return date and all that, or Joe may already know. And you got my text and, all right.
Yeah, I have all that under control.
All right, I'll talk to you I'll talk to you about that later. Okay, let's see. And I know, Manny, you said last time you had quite a few, commercial inspections, right? Safety inspections?
Yes, we're gonna be even doing more now. We kind of, I got together, we're gonna structure it a little bit more so we can have more control on inspecting all the businesses and the multifamily dwelling on a yearly basis. So, we just started that as of this month, and we'll be doing that.
And your department report is due at the state in February, is that it?
April 1st.
April 1st, okay, all right. All right, any questions for Manny? Yes.
Manny, we had a conversation about the court only accepting a certain number of summonses.
Yes.
Per court. I don't know, if you needed to speak with them, and maybe you both needed to speak with them.
Right, so I think we should do it together, probably have a meeting with the justice court and see somehow they can give us a special day in court, so to speak, so we can, because right now I got a backlog of several violations that should be in court. But only getting 2 a month is difficult.
I mean, the court's only allowing, the court is only allowing you to, oh, really?
They're very busy, they do, you know, their calendar is very busy,
Yeah.
that's why, so we do it together with the
I
traffic
only have
court.
Justice
Got it.
Court
And it's
once a
full,
week.
when I go there, I mean, they take care of me first, but it's full. I can see that, so they can set
Okay.
set like a special day just for civil court, just for us.
Yes.
Wednesday, Thursday, usually.
Okay,
Wednesday,
all right,
Thursday.
all right, so, all right. Judge, does that happen in your court in Woodbury?
Well, my clerk just piles them all on. If I have to stay late, I gotta stay late.
All right, well,
So the last few times I've been there, it's full. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
full
full.
house.
yeah,
You know, they're not doing it because they don't want to give it to us, but.
right, they're just full, okay. All right, so it sounds like the two of you are gonna be meeting with or,
Yeah, I'll set it up.
did they suggest it, Manny, that, or were you suggesting we have our own night? Okay, got you.
Clear the docket.
Yeah, okay, very good, that's being proactive, excellent, thank you.
One more thing is, we
Yes.
don't have, the building department doesn't conduct electrical inspections. We
Yes.
force that out to electrical inspectors out there that then give us reports. However, we don't have a local law deputizing these agencies to be an agent to the building department. We just have a list.
Right,
And I don't know how that list got made up, it's just there, but there's no approval process in place for these agencies to be,
so how does that so Manny, how does that work? I thought with if an licensed electrician signs off, this is what you're getting at, right?
a little more than that. The licensed electrician does the work.
Yes,
Then a licensed electrical inspector.
right,
Inspect their
There used to
work.
be one for the whole
Okay.
county, now
And
there's
yours-
many of them.
okay. So if you get that, what are you saying now? You're saying what? We need to change our local law because why?
We gotta establish a local law. We don't have one.
Allowing this to happen.
Correct.
But I thought that's state law.
We still have to have our local law, because it is, every municipality have different way of inspecting and requesting different
But
information.
Just for clarification though, in the default of not having a village law, the state law is the law.
Technically, the reason one, we could have an electrical inspector working for the building.
No, I just want to clarify for people that, I don't want people to think that we're in the wrong, we're not doing our job. What I'm just explaining is that in the absence of having a village law, state law drives.
I see what you're
So,
saying. And I agree with that, but I
Okay.
recommend
yes,
that we adopt our own local law with our own rules and regulations and requirements.
okay.
In addition to what you just mentioned, the state law.
And you've spoken to council about that.
Not only that, I created one and I
Just
sent it to
oh,
them. So I
Okay,
created a local law and I created an application that they got to submit to us and all the documents.
okay,
So council has it right now, he's gonna review it for all the legal things that he
gotcha,
needs to do. Once it's ready, he'll send it to all of us and we'll take the next step.
okay, gotcha.
Maybe to not, this may be a better offline discussion, but I'll ask, what's the heading on the list that exists now of approved or the ones that are used?
List of electrical inspectors. Exactly what it says.
Okay,
All right,
And actually, there is a note there, one of the previous inspectors said he doesn't know where this list came from, but this is the list that we use.
all right,
and
okay.
I know you don't encourage us to ask how other municipalities govern their code enforcement, because, you said that your program is singular.
No, it
But
is.
is that list countywide? Like, as Dave just said, there used to be one for
Used
the
to
whole
be one.
county, but now there's many. Is that list sort of shared
They don't have
generally,
to,
or
they
is
don't
it?
have to be from the county, they just have to be licensed in the county.
Right,
So they could be from
But I mean,
anywhere.
is that list something that other municipalities use? The current
Yes.
list
Oh, yeah.
is sort of passed around. It's
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
general.
they work in multiple municipalities.
all right. Thank you, Manny. I'll be in touch. Appreciate it. All right, next up.
His name is on everybody's.
We have fire department. Charlie? Hey, over here. Charlie, anything to note?
No, nothing to add. Hopefully, with the work being done on the interim engine 412, we can get it in service next month-ish.
Oh, really? Okay. What's that?
The second thing. So I received an email today. This is about the estimate on the claim for.
Oh, yes, yes.
old fire
An
truck.
additional resolution.
So I had a brief discussion with Michael this morning. I followed up, returning my office, reached out to the appraiser that we initially spoke, well, after a while, the point is we've had trouble getting a qualified person to appraise the damaged vehicle. The appraiser had given a preliminary estimate of about $1,000. When my office followed up with him again today, he had looked at the information he sent, and he's suggesting, or he's proposing, a retainer, a fee of $2,000. So this just happened this afternoon. Earlier in the attorney-client session, I mentioned it to the board. So I know I'm just kind of springing this on everybody, but this issue's kind of been languishing. We finally do have a person that's.
I think that would be $2,000 well spent.
No, we agree.
Yes, yeah.
So if the board is in agreement, I would suggest that the deputy mayor
I'm writing it out as you were speaking.
make a motion.
Yeah, hold on. For the services would be for,
As I know, to,
to evaluate,
to represent the village concerning its claim for the damaged fire truck. 412. 412?
yeah, 412, right, Charlie? Correct. The damage truck 412.
The village has received a proposal from Roy Bent, EBRT, appraiser, to represent the village in connection with the claim for a fee of $2,000.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna make the following motion, seek its adoption. The Village of Cornwall, Hudson hereby authorizes Mayor James Galliano, or Deputy Mayor James P. Kane to sign a contract with Roy Bent Appraiser in the amount of $2,000 to represent the village concerning its claim for the damage to fire truck 412. Can I get a second? Any discussion? Yes, Charlie.
Just because I didn't see it, his actual service, he's going to appraise the cost to repair that vehicle. Because that's what our insurance company is basing their amount on, what it would cost to repair it.
That's the idea, right? The proposal right now is in an email. Admittedly, I don't have the full document in front of me. We'll look at it. If there's any concern.
I can amend, I can amend my emotion, subject to review of council.
That's all. So if there's
Okay.
anything behind this, anything that's problematic, we'll take it up. We'll take it up at the business meeting.
All right, I'll get a second on the amended motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. All right, thank you for that one, George. Okay.
I think it was mentioned at the business meeting, but the fire department report includes mention of the two structure fires that they responded to last
Yes.
month and did exemplary service, but we'll follow.
Yeah, we'll
Talk that up more in the.
yes. Okay, next one up we have is the police department. Chief, anything of note?
No, sir, nothing really to add.
Okay.
Just, the only thing we did, in December, all officers had to be trained and recertified in the taser. We do that every year as required.
And did they test that out on their chief?
Yeah, sometimes.
I volunteered.
All right, okay. Any questions for the chief? All right. Moving on to the Public Works Department.
Wait a minute, we got Tony John here already?
Just happened to come in.
My eyes are blurry.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. I like that.
Dave, have we, I don't even want to bring it up because we haven't spent that much in regards to salting and I know. I know. Anything
We're doing good, Navara.
All right, that's all I want to know. We're doing, all right.
We're doing good.
All right.
Winter budget's doing well.
We're
That's the
well
water
within
system
budget there.
He wants more of that substance.
Holly, pre-treatment waste for snow that's been
Water table over time.
Okay, and I will have to say, I just want to thank, while we're on the DPW, items, I just want to thank Dave for coming out on Saturday morning, trustee Paleota and I, met with the residents of Churchill Street in regards to the parking. We've come to an agreement. I thank the village, I thank the residents of Churchill Street there for, their accommodation and their cooperation. I think we came to a good meeting of the minds. And we'll adopt that next, bless you, because that public hearing is still open.
That's what we're gonna have to,
Right, but, Joe, subject to what Joe's gonna say, but not necessarily right now, but Dave's gonna give you, or has already given you, what we're gonna do. If it's significant, then we have to republish.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
you
got-
let us,
We have to, I don't know what it says yet. I have to figure out what
Right.
it's going to say.
okay, so if we have to, then we'll,
it's all in that packet I've
okay.
provided.
But
Thank you.
we are there, we are there.
Under my report though, at the end, if you look,
Yes.
the billing software for our gas system,
Mm-hmm.
been having problems with that. It's just modern technology. The system that the village purchased several years ago, it's a window-based program,
Hmm.
but it does not function with Windows 11. Our IT has moved us into the future with all the new Windows programs. Can't get this thing to function under that system. I've been reaching out to the vendor, or not the vendor, actually, the company that installed it, American Petroleum.
Mm-hmm.
I've had very little success with them. They've had some turnover. Their service manager left, some other issues. I reached out to another service provider today, the one that takes care of the town of Cornwall
Yes.
and does their product. I'm meeting with them on Thursday. We're going to have to one way or another, we're gonna have to upgrade the system, whether it's one way or the other, but the billing system right now, which should take 10 minutes to do, is taking me 3 or 4 hours to go through.
All right.
So it's just,
Let us-
everything's gotta be done by hand, not.
Understood.
Like,
All right, let us know. Let us know.
so just so you know, that's coming down the pike.
Okay. Next up, water, well, any other additional questions for Dave? Seeing none? All right, moving on. Water department. Mike, anything you note?
Just two things that aren't on the report. You may recall back, I sent an email today earlier to everybody. Back in June of '23, the board authorized the emergency repair of the transfer switch for the generator up at Maple Road.
Yes.
Well, that was finally completed last week. Well, it took a while to get the transfer switch in. It took nearly a year to get the transfer switch in, but then when it was delivered, it was damaged. So, the Gen Tech did not accept it, so they had to get another one in there. It took us the better part of 2 days to get everything switched over, but that's all been done. And also, we received a denial letter from New York State for our grant application for the dam repair at Stagnum. So we'll be going in alone on that.
All right. Unfortunate, but we gotta keep trying. Okay. All right, Mike. Any questions for Mike? Okay, moving on. The Windsor EMS. Obviously, Mike Big's not here. Mike Big, excuse me. Let's see what the chart he has.
Yearly,
Oh, okay,
a year synopsis.
that's great. Below average, above average. Location. Oh, this is a great chart. Okay. Very good. If anybody has any questions, let Doris know. We can shoot an email out to the chief. But I love the roll-up. The average response time. They're pretty good. Okay. All right. Moving on to other business. We already handled the Donahue Farm event. Okay. Last up, Megan. All right. The budget. So questions for Megan and our updated proposed budget. So I have a few. Megan, and I'm gonna go off the old one I started marking up. So bear with me, Megan. Okay. So the first one, Megan, page 1, line 30, state aid mortgage tax. That one, back in 2022, 23, it was 110, then the year later, our actuals are only 50. This year, it looks like we're probably gonna be around the same. I guess what I was finding out is does the county indicate to us what it looks like it's gonna be for the upcoming year, for the most part?
For the most part, yeah, it's just based off of the sales of homes in the area.
Yeah, it was good, and then it
Which is
cratered, and then now we came in last year, we budgeted 85,000, and right now we're sitting at 23,106. That's through November.
that's through November.
Right, and so it looks like we're probably might hit maybe 50, but that's a significant decrease, but not your fault, just for clarification. Dave, question for you. State aid chips, we had $1.25 budgeted last year. You think we're gonna get 150 this year?
The CHIPS money is going to be the same.
Okay.
You'll see that next year we're going to spend more than that.
Mhm.
The CHIPS, the thing with CHIPS money, and there's several pools of that.
Yeah,
There's actually 3 different pools. But the CHIPS money is we can roll that money over,
okay,
which I have been doing for quite a while.
right,
We'll roll it over.
Okay.
So we might spend, you'll see at the end that, right now, there's nothing spent there.
yes,
I haven't submitted the,
right,
refund, which I'm going to do probably next week for this year,
Mhm.
which will be in the amount of about $225,000 that we spent this past year,
right.
which that money is
Is there because
It's
you
there.
rolled over from
I
previous
rolled
years?
over from the previous years.
Okay.
And there's still a fund left there to
Got it.
roll over.
But
And our appropriation is about 125 to 135,000.
Okay, but what you're projecting though is we're gonna get $1.50 from the state
Will be
for
Well,
the upcoming year.
I haven't seen their increase.
Okay, all
Their
right.
budget comes out in April.
I haven't,
Oh,
I
got
haven't seen their
Got it, okay,
increase yet.
yeah.
They're
understood.
talking about increasing it.
Got
But we'll see how that goes in March when, all the highway guys show up and lobby up in Albany.
Okay,
Is, on that line, is there a reason, why is, through November 20th at 0 for this year's budget?
Because
They do it
I
at
have
the
not,
end.
I have not submitted the,
For the amount.
for the amount.
okay, got that, let me just see here.
We pay the money out and then I submit, they only accept submittals 4 times a year. So depending on, the last one, I just happened to miss the cutoff date by a day. There was other stuff going on at the time.
Okay. Megan, line 23 on page 2 of 12, general insurance. That's a fixed amount, right? We know that for sure.
Yeah.
$1.15 that we're gonna pay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is up. That's, yeah. 126, the actual went down and then it's starting to climb again. Okay. Then chief, Steve, the police expense line, chief. Let's see, actual 78 and 81. Yeah, I was just trying, in last year's budget, our expense line, we were, two previous years, it was 76, 81,000. And then 20, for this year, we budgeted at 215. Do you remember why we went so high? And we're spending most of that, but do you remember why? Because we're back down to 75 for the police expense line. I just can't remember why.
Why it went so high?
Yeah, why did it go so high?
Because of grants, and I guess at the end of the year, I guess, Megan, they're gonna have all the tallies, because the grant money that we
That's
got,
because of the grant money. She funds through grants.
that'll offset,
Okay.
that'll offset the monies.
Okay.
That's just
Right,
money,
we did.
that's just money spent. It's
Okay.
not the grant money
Is,
that came in.
are vehicles in police expense?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Dave, street maintenance expense.
Yeah, just, I was gonna bring that up, because
Yes.
I knew you were gonna go down, I knew you were going down this road, so
Because I've
I,
been doing it for years.
yeah, the reason why that number is so askew is, remember the, project on Maple Road? The repaving project of Maple Road?
Yes.
We received payment from Central Hudson of
Yes.
$80,000 to cover the pavement on Mountain Road.
Right.
I do not have an expense line on
Getting
Central
reimbursed.
Hudson. We have a line in from recovery from Central Hudson. We don't have an expense line, so I have to pay it out of somewhere. Well, we paid it out of the street maintenance line. We've never increased the street maintenance line by the $80,000. So it should have went from 150 to 230.
Right, so we're not
But
over.
it didn't.
We're covered. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying. So we're
it
not
should-
over. Understood.
The money was brought in and there was an amendment done, but it was never amended in the budget to increase by the amount. And you're gonna have the same exact thing next year, because we have a $200,000 from payment from Central Hudson for Mountain Road, which we tabled. So that's sitting in an account somewhere. So we're gonna go through this process is gonna go on for a few years while we.
Reimbursement. Okay. That was 80,000, right? For
Yeah.
Maple Road?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right. And anybody, I'm just going down the line. If
Yeah,
anybody has any questions, go ahead.
Is there
I'm gonna draft
money
off
for
their
Mountain
homework.
Road?
We can't.
I am not finished with my review. So I'm
Because
gonna-
it's a
I'm gonna pretend I
reconstruction.
read the book.
Well, I don't, like Maple Road, I couldn't use CHIPS
My
money
report.
because the road was paved. You can only spend CHIPS money every 10 years.
And I'm just, Megan, question number 73, workers' compensation.
That's fixed.
That's fixed. That's gone down, which is,
Yes, that's correct.
and do we know why it went down, Megan?
No, I-
Okay.
I know
All right.
you.
No, it's pretty significant. We were at 150 and then we were at 116 and now we're down to 78. So that, let me see. Oh, here's one. We're getting crushed on is the medical dental insurance. So we're up to a few years in 2022, 23, we're at 643,000. And now we're up to, it's gonna be about 725,000. That's a 16, well, from last year, it's a 16% increase. So, yes, wow.
This
And-
budget reflects the proposed CSEA and EDA. So is that a component of that? Yeah. Plus.
Yeah,
COLA.
yes. And plus, we got the retirees.
Actually, that number, this year, the family plan and the single plan decreased by, off the top of my head, 30 cents for family and 33 for single.
Hmm,
But with everything else factored into it,
yeah,
you're still looking at it all around.
and it's still covering, we still have retirees that we're covering, so. Mike, in regards to water, service charges, water taps, Mike. you had, I'm just looking at this. We budgeted, so Mike, we had in 23, 24. Yeah, for service charge and water tax, we were at 45,000.
Mhm.
And then last year we budgeted 70. I know through 11/20 we're at 6,000. I'm sure there's more to be added there.
A few, but not much. We're not gonna make that 70,000.
So, okay.
I think,
So that was my question. So now we're down to you're
Yeah.
estimating 10,000.
yeah, something more realistic, because I think what was happening over the years, going way back, they were estimating high particularly because of the Stone Hollow development off Willow Avenue.
Yeah.
All those homes, each one were getting a tapping fee.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kind of continued. And don't forget, not only the tapping fees, but sometimes we have repair fees that go into it.
Okay.
So we took it back down, and actually, I do recall the $70,000 one probably included I think it was like 30 or 35,000 for Storm King Arts Center.
Oh, that's right.
So
Okay.
that could be in there too. I'm not sure what year that was credited to.
Yep. Okay. All right. It just makes sense. It just stood out.
Yeah.
See, and then make sure. Okay, water fund expenditures. Let me see, Mike. Insurance. Well, this is another fixed one. Again, Megan, under water fund expenditures, 5 of 12. Number 3, insurance general for water. We're up to 100,000. That's fixed, correct? That's, and when you hear about the double-digit increase, that's over a 17% increase. So I guess this should not be surprising. Let's see. No, that's good. Water management expense. See this. Engineering. So Mike, in regards to engineering, number 15, 134, we went 112. So at 90, you think we're pretty good for the engineering expense?
Yeah, I just updated my worksheet through, what was it, Meg, you gave me through the end of December. So we're at about 65,000 this year for them. And we got 2 years left, or 2 more months left in this fiscal year, so.
They'll have something
Yeah.
left over.
Yeah. we'll
Okay,
have
to
a little
cover,
bit. Yep.
gotcha, to cover the
But
10,000
Sphagnum
spread.
is not.
No, Sphagnum is not included in that. And that would be paid for separately, not necessarily out of the engineering, but out of the capital improvement fund next year.
For the prior higher numbers for 22, 23, and then the budget for this year, was that the reason that it was higher based on circumstance, or like it just was unexpected?
Correct. We did
projects?
some water main projects.
Yeah,
Mill
Jackson.
Street, we did Jackson Avenue,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of different capital
Maple
projects. that we
Street.
had done. Well, that's part of this year's budget.
And Mike, I see, line 20, the purification expense continues to go down. That's because the leak detection, right? So now
No,
we're
actually,
asking- no?
that is actually, that's what it costs to treat the water. So purchasing chemicals,
Yeah,
energy costs.
well, I'm saying with the
repairing
purchase,
equipment.
because of the
Because of the water leaks,
we're
we're not treating as much
Right,
water
yes,
yet.
got it, okay, so that's a significant savings.
Yep. And we're also we're not utilizing the Catskill filtration plant. So
Right.
we're not buying the water from New York City, which is a significant savings.
Would that have been in that line, or would that be in source of supply expense?
It could be from either one. It all depends on where it was coded in years past.
Dave, I don't know who this would be for Dave, I think. 6 of 12, sewer fund, revenue. Sewer rents, we're estimating 390. Last year, we estimated, I guess here's my question, going back in 2022, 23, we're at about 560,000. And then 23, 24, we're at 552 actual. And then last year, we went down to 380,000. And right now we're sitting, you're saying 390. What was why did we go down so much over?
The same as everybody else, less water being used.
Okay. Just checking, okay.
In, out
Yep. All
with
right.
the sewer.
But on the leak side of things, we wouldn't necessarily be, because the leaks are unmetered, right? So,
Yeah.
even so,
But we're talking about
capturing
people
leaks.
using water, if
Yeah.
they're using less, you know.
People are using
Yeah.
less water.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, with the new water meters, we can find inside leaks, and we notify them. So like if you have a toilet that's running, we're telling them,
It's
hey,
just
your
the
toilet's
capital
running.
fund.
Mike, under, capital improvements.
What
that's-
line is that, Dave?
that is
25.
25. That's, 475, what's that for?
So that's for we had it for 500,000 this year. That's for the Main Street Bridge project.
Oh, okay.
That's for the engineering for Maple Road, Hasbrook Avenue, Angola Road.
Moving the line.
Yep. We didn't get that work, wasn't accomplished in this fiscal year, so now it's gonna be done next.
I got
So all that money is rolled over.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
All right, so
So
we'll
if
be
you
in a
look-
decent position.
Correct. And this year, there's still 490,000 in that capital line
Yes.
that wasn't used.
Understood, okay, very good. Let me just see here. Medical, dental insurance, keeps coming up, okay. Okay, I am good on that. I just have some questions for Megan in regards to our debt. Anybody have any additional questions on the budget itself? Okay,
Just the water.
Megan.
despite instructions, I reserve the right to get offline and talk to you between now and our business meeting, just to get clarification. I'm not sure I had the latest one in Excel. I'm not positive. I know you emailed us a one sheet, but then I'm not sure I got,
Yeah.
I know I had this hard copy in my mailbox. here.
Yeah, and I sent an email with, the same copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I ran a formula on an older one just to look at the differences, and
I can always get another
I'll have more questions
email
for you,
over to you.
but they will not be as exhaustive as today.
So the last thing I always like to talk about is, and that's the debt. Megan provided us our debt service. So Megan, in regards to the 2017 EFC water, our bond debt on that, it's 840,000. Just wanted to know when that terminates, that bond.
2040.
2040, okay. So yeah, for next year, can you just put the termination dates in the bonds?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's good to know. All right, so that's a long one out, okay. Okay, we're making principal payments of 50,000 a year. Look, the rate is 0.34%, so that's great. All right, moving to the bands. This one, what's my question on this one? Yeah, when does that?
The DPW equipment,
Yes, the
that'll be
case,
paid off this year. The DPW equipment. will
right, that'll be paid
this
off.
year.
Good, okay, perfect.
The Donahue Farm
Case.
/ case loader will be paid off in 2029.
2029, okay, very good. So, okay, so debt-wise, we are doing very, very well
Yeah.
compared to years ago. But even coming off of the DPW equipment, getting rid of that, we now have, just as a reminder, because I just asked Charlie again to remind me, we bought the new fire truck, which Charlie 1.2, about 1.3. So, now, some of that, the purchase on that, some will be offset from, our insurance proceeds, and hopefully we'll get some more from the new.
I think that's up to the.
Yes, I mean, it's up to us, but the way I'm kind of looking at it is, then with our fund balance, I would not, much like we did for purchasing Donahue Farm, that is, use some of the fund balance, but we'll, the board will talk about this, using some of the fund balance to pay some of it off, but not the whole thing, and bonding it out. Because we shouldn't have to pay everything up front for something that's gonna last another 20 to 30 years. Let it extend out. Okay, any other questions for me? Okay, Bill, you'll get offline with Megan for any of your questions. And, all right, we're in the home stretch here. All right. Let's see, for the FYI, okay, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, the office is closed on Monday, the 20th. There's a planning board meeting Thursday, January, that's already passed. Hold on, yep, hold on. Fire commissioner meeting, Rick, tomorrow, okay, 6 PM. And the village board business meeting, our next meeting is gonna be January 27th at 7 PM. Any alibis? Very good. I will make a motion to adjourn our meeting. Can I get a second?
Rams are up 7-0.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. What'd you say?
Rams are up
The
7-0.
Jets are up what?
Rams are up 7-0.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
What? Because I turned up the heat?
And the time?
Did you turn up the heat?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Gloria.